Our meeting this year was in Pittsburgh in June, theme being building bridges across imaging informatics. And I mentioned pathology as one of the specialties that we have been working with. Digital Pathology Association, specifically, we've had an MOU with them for 4 or 5 years now. And what we did was work with DPA to come up with one single streamlined payment process for anyone to attend both of our conferences in 2026. One payment to attend SIIM 26 in Pittsburgh in June, and the Pathology Visions Conference that's happening in October in San Diego.
This is Associations Thrive, the podcast celebrating successful associations and their leaders. I'm your host, Joanna Pineda, CEO and Chief Troublemaker at Matrix Group International. Listen in as top association executives tell all, revealing the creative and innovative ways they're increasing membership, generating revenue, nurturing engagement, and reimagining their organizations. By the way, if you've launched a new initiative, created new member services, or updated your governance structure and are seeing great results, I want to hear your story, and so do my listeners. I'd love to have you as a guest. Go to podcast.matrixgroup.net and apply to be on Associations Thrive. Now let's dive into this week's show. Today, I'm speaking with Cheryl Kreider Carey, CEO of the Society for Imaging Informatics in Medicine, or SIIM. Cheryl, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Joanna. It's a privilege to be here.
Well, Cheryl, you and I met at the Inter-Society Conference of the American College of Radiology, and I had such a lovely conversation with you that I said, I have to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
So tell us about SIIM.
SIIM is so special to me. I've been in the association world now 30 plus years, and have to say SIIM is my favorite. We are just under 3,000 members, small in size. However, I say future-facing field, and that's what excites me about being at SIIM, given the fact that every day I am doing something behind the scenes to help our members who are day in, day out improving patient care through imaging informatics.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. What is imaging informatics?
Yeah, that's a good question, Joanna. Our board chair describes informatics as the study and practice of how information is created, collected, structured, analyzed, and used. So that's a mouthful. But if you think about medical imaging, it is now digital. Some of us remember when we would get our X-ray on film.
Right.
However, now that's digitized. And so imaging informatics is taking the data and the information from that digital image and using it. It could be through workflows. It could be with AI. It's multifaceted, the field of imaging informatics, but basically anything coming out of that medical image, the data, how is it stored in the metadata? How do you know that that is your image if you end up moving to another state? How do you get your image from state A to state B? Isn't always the case. And so that's interoperability and standards. It's all part of imaging informatics.
Who are your members? Because if you're talking about imaging and informatics, I met you at the Inter-Society Conference for the American College of Radiology. Are your members the doctors and or the people involved in the imaging, like the techies, for example, or the techs who do the imaging?
All of the above.
Ah.
So we describe our members in 5 personas. It is the clinicians, and not just radiologists, clinicians of all imaging specialties, as well as the scientists, developers, vendors creating the softwares, and we call them imaging IT experts who oversee the storage of the digital images. So all 5 personas are members at SIIM. As we say, you belong at SIIM. So whatever your persona, whatever your specialty, if you're touching medical imaging, the technology part of it, yes, you belong at SIIM.
So I'm thinking about every X-ray, every CT scan, every whatever that gets taken by a tech and then is read by a doctor and then gets stored in my file, all those people who touch that could be a member of SIIM.
Yes.
Oh, interesting. All right.
So we say imaging informatics sits at the intersection of digital health, technology, management. So there's lots of softwares and available products for hospitals when thinking of medical imaging. And so who makes those decisions? Which softwares to buy? How does that fit into the hospital's greater IT department? Lots of fascinating behind the scenes decisions that are being made for patients needing to retrieve their medical images, maybe in a different state, as I mentioned, or a different day, or just all of the touch points of a digital image.
Now, Cheryl, imaging has not always been digital. So how has the association changed over the years? Because if you're related to tech, man, this has got to be a field that's changed a lot in the last 20, 30, 50 years even.
Love the question, Joanna. In fact, we at SIIM say we're a 45-year-old startup, given the fact that we have had to reinvent ourselves over the years. And this is before I was at SIIM. We have had, in our 45 years, 3 different names.
Oh.
And our current name, Society for Imaging Informatics and Medicine, was 20 years ago when the board decided to drop radiology from the name, given their vision for where we are today. All imaging specialties going digital and residing together. At least that's our vision within hospitals, et cetera. But our differentiator is bringing them all together and being that umbrella where they see how pathology fits into radiology and how dermatology might also someday work in tandem as well.
Oh, interesting. Cheryl, we got a lot to talk about when it comes to SIIM, but I would like to turn to your journey. How did you get to become CEO of SIIM?
Yes. So I was a high school business teacher, as I say, back in the day on typewriters that were electric, and kind of fell into the field of associations, was on the supplier side for a decade with the Washington, D.C. Convention and Visitors Association before transitioning to the user side, if you will, of the association, and have been in medical healthcare associations for 30 plus years, and was actually on the manufacturer side with a trade organization of the medical imaging equipment manufacturers when I learned of the opening at SIIM, and came 9 years ago and have loved it.
Wow. And so this was not your first executive director or CEO position.
Correct.
And so what's the journey like going from one association to another? And it sounds like you've been in medical most of the time.
Yes. Each one has a different vibe and culture. For me at SIIM, as I mentioned, you belong at SIIM is our ethos, and our leaders, luminaries in the field who were there when imaging went from film to digital. And someone described it to me this way, that Cheryl, our whole, what we knew changed. It was humbling. We had to figure out how to work now without hanging the film in a reading room to read it, now reading on monitors and the digital component. And so there's just a humility around our leaders. I say high emotional intelligence, low ego at SIIM. And so it just makes it a very special place. I love my job.
High emotional intelligence, low ego, sign me up.
Come on.
What a great place.
Yeah.
Now, Cheryl, is there a specific leadership model that characterizes your leadership style? Because I find that, association CEOs who've been with a number of organizations end up refining their style and having a very strong sense of their leadership values and style.
Yeah. So I enjoy watching sports of all kinds. Primarily, though, Joanna, because I like to look for that correlation between the coach, manager, owner of the team, and the impact it has visibly on the court, on the pitch that we're seeing. coaches that I like the most, Coach K from Duke, Coach Greg Popovich, San Antonio Spurs, how they have been able to create this chemistry, invisible culture that has the results that the team wants, that we as the spectators see. And as a leader, I work to create that invisible culture with my staff, with the board, to the point where I've now been coined the governance geek, because I'm so careful in wanting each of our leaders, the board, the committee chairs, to know what their roles are, make sure they have the right resources, and as well for staff. And so as a leader, I'm team-oriented, which works well at SIIM with our various personas, and try to make sure all the personas feel included, receive value from our education and our resources that we provide. And the team, governance geek, you belong at SIIM, kind of all just came together for me at SIIM as a leader.
Well, I love the you belong at SIIM, because it sounds like that embodies the association, 5 personas, but it also sounds like you're saying you belong at SIIM as in the staff all working together to support the members and support the society. So it all works together, and it's not just one group that is kind of the stars, if you will, because you're saying the coaching, the staff, all of them support the experience so that the players can be stars.
Yes.
Love that.
And our leaders are, in fact, today on the executive committee call, very affirming of the staff and complimentary, making it feel very team-like. And so staff enjoy being here as well.
Well, let's turn to SIIM. When I met you, you talked about your conference, your Bridge Pass conference, I think, where you said we did something really different. It was a big experiment, and it was thinking about the future of imaging. So tell us about this, because this sounds like a big experiment.
Yes. So our meeting this year was in Pittsburgh in June, theme being building bridges across imaging informatics. And I mentioned pathology as one of the specialties that we have been working with. Digital Pathology Association, specifically, we've had an MOU with them for 4 or 5 years now. And what we did was work with DPA to come up with one single streamlined payment process for anyone to attend both of our conferences in 2026. One payment to attend SIIM 26 in Pittsburgh in June, and the Pathology Visions Conference that's happening in October in San Diego. So it was the first year we rolled it out, and we had some success. Our thought is we'll need to offer it maybe 2-3 years till it actually, the pathologists understand why they might want to come to SIIM first, to understand how pathology fits into the enterprise, and then go to Path Visions to learn the actual digitization, the nuances of pathology.
So you're saying learn about imaging, period, and then learn about imaging within your specific specialty, pathology.
Yes.
Oh, fascinating. So was it you could attend one or the other or both, or how did this work? And then what'd you do with like member discounts? Because each association has its own membership.
Yes. So what helped for us is having built the rapport with DPA, with our MOU over the years. So to your point, the logistics, not easy. However, they worked with us and we were willing to work with them. It is one payment to attend both. And for those that bought the Bridge Pass, now they'll be in San Diego in October at Path Visions Conference.
Ah, and is the idea here that it's expanding the membership for both organizations, but it's also unifying the field a little bit, but it's also revenue generating for both associations? Like, what are you accomplishing with this?
So because pathology is, I've heard, maybe where radiology was 20, 30 years ago, many of the hospitals are only now digitizing pathology. And so for them to come to SIIM first, hear how others have done it, hear how it fits into the enterprise, we say, enterprise imaging, gives them kind of the context, the big picture, and then better informs them when they dive into pathology, specifically at PathVisions.
And so today, would you characterize SIIM as a home not just for radiologists?
Absolutely.
Okay. So it's really expanded.
Yes. And that was the vision of the luminaries 20 years ago when they changed from the Society of Computer Applications in Radiology, SCAR, to SIIM. So it's fun to see and exciting to see SIIM living into that vision.
There are other things that your luminaries have really been very forward thinking about, and one of them is AI. So during the prep, you said, Joanna, we did an AI conference 11 years ago. 11 years ago, Cheryl. Oh my God. Tell us about that.
So I wasn't here at the time, but yes, the story is that several of the imaging informaticists at SIIM founders was like, we need to do this, and held our first one in 2017 and have been holding AI conferences ever since.
So you've got an AI conference coming up in October. Tell us about that. What's new and different, and what's happening with imaging and AI?
It will be at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. And it's perfect because our contact there, Tessa Cook, and a former board chair of SIIM, is bringing in the differing departments, if you will, from UPenn, including pathology. And so that's going to be one of our tracks within the AI conference. That will be a part of it. Physicists. Again, imaging informatics is just so unique because it's touched by and used by so many different of the personas.
Right. And how many people do you expect at this conference, and is it growing?
Tessa says it's going to be the largest one ever. So several hundred.
Amazing.
Yes, we're very excited.
I've got one final question for you. How's membership?
Membership has been growing, Joanna. We are very fortunate. In fact, in 2025, we grew 20+%. It is very exciting. Yes.
Well, it sounds like all the things that you're doing to really expand the potential members, but also with all of these amazing forward-thinking things that you're doing, no wonder you're growing. What are you looking forward to for the rest of the year?
Actually, we're talking about renewals right now, which will be in October, and the AI conference is in October. And for me, in a future-facing field that, as I mentioned, at the end of the day is improving patient care. I love that imaging informatics is agnostic. It is bipartisan. Like, we all use imaging and need imaging. And so that's what excites me, that at the end of the day, I am improving patient care by what I'm doing day in, day out.
Cheryl, this has been an amazing interview. I learned so much. I hope you can come back in the future because it sounds like you're doing amazing stuff, and who knows, maybe there's another rebrand in the future.
Thank you. I would love to come back, Joanna.
Thanks for listening to Associations Thrive. We're so glad to have you here. You know, my personal mission and the mission of my company, Matrix Group International, is to help associations and nonprofits increase membership, generate revenue, and thrive in the digital space. I want to hear stories of how your organization is thriving in today's challenging landscape. Please apply to be on my show by going to podcast.matrixgroup.net. By the way, do you need help with a digital initiative? Maybe it's a website redesign, a new membership database, or a hybrid meeting that you're planning. I'd love to connect with you. Please visit the Matrix Group website at matrixgroup.net. Thanks again for listening to this week's episode of Associations Thrive. Don't forget to subscribe to the show, leave a 5-star rating, post a comment, and share it with your colleagues and friends.